Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to It Is Possible with Dr. Sai. Yes, it is possible. I'm coming to your way again with another story of possibility. And it's going to be a great episode. Really, my guest today has been through a lot, has persevered. And today, our discussion is really going to be centered on the importance of perseverance, not giving up, how to deal with rejection. And that's something that most of us we struggle with because, hey, we always want to, get that yes. We always want to be able to get, that approval or that offer that we're looking for. But how do you deal with rejection when it doesn't go the way you want in terms of, business, in terms of career, in terms of even family life? How do you deal with rejection? So our conversation today is going to be centered around that. And don't go anywhere because you're definitely going to, gain value from it. Well, my guest today, he's based in Edinburgh, all the way in United Kingdom. I'm so happy to have him. He's an amazing human being, amazing person, really resourceful, and shares a lot of tools and resources to help people that are really interested in enhancing or improving on their education in that aspect. My guest is George Tsitati, and I'm so happy to have George with us today. George just completed his MBA, and he is the founder and the writer at the Afrocism and Climate Change. George is also a climate change expert or a climate change researcher. Let me put it that way. A climate change researcher, which is something that we truly need in today's world. There are different point of views when it comes to climate change. But, when it comes to me, the reality is whatever that we get from this planet is what we put into it. So it's exactly what we put into it. So George is a climate change researcher, and he was recently named as an upcoming climate change adaptation, mitigation, and research advocate from the Global South. Quite an impressive accomplishment. And George, I'm so glad to have you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's tonight, and I'm really thankful for hosting this amazing podcast. I have been looking forward to have this podcast for so long, and here we are. And good evening, Dr. Sa.
Thank you so much, George. You shared a lot. We spoke a little before we started recording. And so I want us to get into it. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? Where do you come from? Let us get to know who you are.
My name is George Tsitati, and I'm from Kenya, which is the far east of Africa. And I was born in a very small village, of which I don't think they have it in the map. So it's called Oloropi, in the far end of southern
What is
Kenya.
it called?
Oloropi. So I don't know if you can.
Oloropi.
Yeah, so that's so good of you. So Oloropi, and I grew up there, and it was an amazing village with amazing people, amazing food, to be honest, amazing weather and everything. And growing up there was one of the fairy tales that you hear about Africa because it was a true thing that's happening there. Life was hard, education was not seen as a key into a prosperous life. The issue of people dropping out of school was literally a major issue. And growing up there was, I won't say it was a bad thing because it nurtured my ambition to be where I am today because I knew the only way that I could get out of that outcome as a cocoon or a niche of environment was through education. So growing up was really an amazing journey. I had amazing people, my family, my brothers and sisters. At the same time, I had my friends, which majority of them got they dropped out of school and got married at very, very young age. And it
Wow.
was really discouraging because you see your friends getting dropping out of school and you're here trying to prove to the society that there is life beyond getting married really early or dropping out of school. So, in a nutshell, life in Africa, life in Oloropi, life in Narok, Kenya was a typical African life, no formal kind of education because even majority of teachers who used to teach us were not qualified teachers, were just people who have undergone some kind of secondary education, post-secondary education,
Wow.
who could like tell us, oh, this is what I can offer. And so we used to call them PTA, which are Parent Teachers Association, which are
Right.
teachers who are sponsored, who are paid by parents to teach their kids rather than teachers who undergone through the curriculum to teach. Yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
uh, thank you so much for, going over your background. You come from Oloropin. That's
Yeah.
the name of the village. What tribe would that be?
Is a really now this is a very unique kind of a juncture because the tribe
Hmm.
there is a Maasai community, but
Okay, Masai.
I'm not from a
Hmm.
Maasai community. My dad is a Gusii community from the western part of the community of Kenya. Same with my mother.
Hmm.
So my dad was a teacher, and in Kenya, as a teacher, you don't choose where you're going to teach. So the government sent him to Narok, and he had to take his family with him. So that's the reason is why I was born. That's the reason why we found ourselves in Narok because of the teaching responsibility that my dad had. So I was the only child. I'm the last born in our family, and I'm the only child who was born in that region. And growing up there was amazing because the culture there teach you to respect people. The culture there teach you to respect elders. The culture teach you to be a
Oh yes,
responsible
African culture.
person.
You must respect your elder.
Yeah,
There's no
it's
bag.
really
There's no
fun.
bargain with that.
Yeah, it's really funny whenever you. I remember growing up when elders were walking towards us, we used to stand and let us them pass because that's the order. That's the real thing. If you don't do that, you don't respect them.
Absolutely. The reason why I'm laughing because it's the same thing here in Ghana culture too. When adults are talking, kids are not allowed to be there. But
Yeah.
in this side of the world, it's the opposite. So sometimes when my children come home, I really feel bad for them in the sense that when they go to school, they see their friends, even teachers, they can have any type of conversation, whether invited or uninvited. But when you come home, the ball game changes. So that's funny too. It just
Yeah,
brought back that memory.
it's really nice to see how similar lifestyles are in Africa. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It's a really
Yes.
unique way. But I love to be associated with African culture because the respect, the responsibility, the way to respect elder, respect to women, and has literally made me who I am today. I respect people. I love the famous quote where you respect people depending on the content of their character rather than whoever they are, be it race, be it age, be it gender. So respect people depending on the character or the content of their character. I mean, yeah.
Well, tell me really what was this? What was the struggles you had growing up in a village? Where even education it's challenged, even the quality of education is challenged. What was the trouble or the struggle that you faced?
I'll say I'll pick the best struggle that I faced because I think I faced the entire dimension of struggle because I remember growing up. I think my dad left the family before even I was very conscious enough to understand that my dad left. I
Wow.
was still a toddler. I was still a baby, and I didn't know he left. And my mom struggling to raise four kids with no formal education, with
Why
no
why
formal
why did
job.
he leave?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've never been in
You
a
never
position
cared
to
about
know.
that?
It's not that I don't care. It's because I didn't have the opportunity to ask, and at the same time, I didn't want to bug my mom with a lot of questions. At the same time, she's trying to put food on our table. So I was glad she was doing that. Instead of me begging, I was trying to be okay. This is what my mom wants me to be. She wants me to perform well in school. She wants me to go to school. She will make the simple dishes uh, that I can take to school. And I remember growing up, is the saddest story of my life, of which is the best day that I can have a reference of. Growing up, Narok County is one of the counties in Africa with is the best wheat growing county. So
Hmm.
there was days we could boil wheat. That's wheat that used to make wheat flour and just consume boiled wheat.
Wow, nothing, no
Nothing
meat.
more, nothing. And the funny thing, I was a kid, and I was wondering why my sibling were not allowing me to go out with the wheat because they could feel embarrassed. But for me, I was a kid. I was happy that
You're
I
so
have
naive,
food.
innocent.
Yeah, I was happy we have food. But for them was like, George, finish your food and go out to play. I was like, I want to go out to play while eating. And they were like, finish your food, then go out. So we have been talking with my siblings about this issue. We've been laughing about it right now because it's more of like a reminiscence of what happened in the past. But growing up was really hard. And I went to at the time was the best school within the region, but overall, nationally, it was a below average school. In primary school, I scored 312 marks, which also 500 marks. And it was I made it as the first person in that school to score over 300 marks. And it was celebrated and all that. And I went to a high school which was not as good as other school, but after some few years there, 4 years for my secondary education, I scored a B plus of 73 points out of 84. After
Wow.
that, I was called to go to the University of Nairobi, which is the best university in Eastern Central Africa. And then after that is when I was sponsored by the government to undertake my BSc education.
Wow. Wow. Did you get a chance to meet your father to reconcile, or did that happen?
Yeah, it happened. We talk, and the thing is, he's still my father. No matter the issue, no matter what happened between him and my mother. And I'm glad because after I joined high school, that's when it happened. My mother was not in a position to help me pay for the high school fees. So my father jumped in, and I'm really thankful for him for doing that because without him, I'll not be here. I'm really thankful that he was able to come back and help me with my high school and also actually not part because my mom was not uh, able to pay for my university despite the government offering scholarship. They don't offer a full scholarship. It's more partial scholarship. I'm really thankful for him. And wherever I is in Kenya right now, I'm really thankful. And over here, I'm also thanking him for doing that. I have no bad reservations. I have no bad blood with him. And I'm really thankful that he was able to educate me because education is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How was it like, the first time that you had to talk to him or meet him? Because obviously, as you mentioned that you were even a baby when he left. So what was the first encounter, your first interaction with him? How did it go? How was it like?
To be honest, we are not still very close with my dad. I call him once often, and because I need to check, and it wasn't an interaction that I'll say it was productive. It was interaction because my dad. I need to introduce myself. We still in touch, but it's not like I miss that fatherly figure. I miss to be nurtured as a
Mm,
boy. I miss that
mm,
fatherhood in my family. I miss the education from my father that you are a man, you're supposed to act this way. All I
mm.
had to do was learn from my mistakes, not learn from people who have undergone the same process. It was like, oh, this is a mistake that you've done. You have to learn,
Right.
not George, this is not supposed to be done like this. Yeah.
Wow. Every man needs their father to guide them, just as they say every woman also needs their mother. And shout out to all the women that are able to hold it down, the single parents that do amazing job at providing the best, making sure that their child has everything, and so there's no that void, or they are putting in the effort to fill that void as much as possible. Shout out to all the single parents, single fathers, single mothers. Keep up the great work. So growing up, how did you get the opportunity to travel? You didn't go to the best school, comparably, um, but you were smart in class, in academics. How did you get the opportunity to travel abroad?
Mm, it was an opportunity that was searched for a very, very long time because I had this dream that I need to study and I need to study abroad. And I wanted to be part of the people within my community that can inspire people to know that education can change life. I wanted to be that person that out of one, that there is hope in education. There is hope
Mm,
in believing in yourself. There is hope of achieving your dreams. So I had this dream that my dream growing up, I didn't know what the name doctor means. I knew that doctor is what they have to do with medicine, pharmacy, health issues, and it
right.
was it was amazing. It was amazing. So when I joined the University of Nairobi, that's when I noticed this. Oh, so we have a doctorate, which is the highest honors that you can get for of you like getting the highest education. So after I joined the University of Nairobi, I started nurturing myself to understand myself first. My first degree was in agriculture, which was inspired because I'm coming from a community which is an agriculture based community at the same time is a pastoralist based community. So that was an inspiration from the setting, the
Right.
livelihood that I've been through. Then at the
Right.
same time, I noticed that my community not doing well in agriculture because of these minus of climate change. And I didn't know climate change. I just knew that buzzword climate change. And I was eager enough to get myself and fuel to understand this concept of climate change. So after my undergrad, I got a job. Um, for the sake of not naming the company, it was a really good company, but they were paying us really as not amount of money that you can survive in the capital city of Kenya. It was equivalent to less than $120 a month.
Wow.
And $120 a month. Remember, you have your mother who's back in Africa. If you are employed, you have to take care of your family, you have to take care of your parents. So your
And how
mother
long ago was
knows.
this?
2 years ago, after I
Wow. Two
graduated, I
years.
3 years actually, 3 years.
3 years.
I graduated in 2019.
Wow.
I graduated in 2019. That's where I got my BSc, and then I worked for 1 year, 3 months in that company. But during COVID-19, I would say COVID-19, it was a blessing in disguise for me because I was working as a research assistant, and most of the things that I was doing was desktop research, writing policies, climate change policies. So when the COVID-19 came, the company said, we are not coming to the office anymore. So they made us to work from home. So they paid for our internet. They gave us laptop. So I was waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, do the company's work until 9 a.m. Then from 9 a.m., I was doing my fellowship. I was searching for my scholarship. I was doing all my personal stuff. So I had a pattern. 4 to 9 is company's work. After that, it's my personal assignment. So that's when I started applying for scholarship. So that's when I started, applying for fellowship. I applied, my first fellowship that I applied was a fellowship during the COVID. It was MIT,
Right. In
COVID-19
America.
fellowship in America. It was a virtual fellowship and I got it. I was, oh, you can go, you can really get to MIT with my, not well formulated experience. So I got there and I was able to network with a lot of people from Stanford, from Harvard, and they really changed my perspective on life. They really changed my thinking. After that, I started incorporating a lot of those experiences that I learned from those fellowships. So that one fellowship really changed my life because after that, I knew that, oh, this thing I can literally get whatever I want. But I was wrong. I can't really get whatever I want. It's because I have to put in work. So after that, I applied to a lot of fellowship, a lot of rejection, and the first few rejections were hurtful, to be honest. They were really hurtful. They were really discouraging. You get rejection without feedback. They just reject you outright without any reason, and you feel really bad about yourself. And then I used to apply simultaneously, so I'm getting a rejection, but at the same time I'm here trying to apply for something else. So I noticed that you don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity for you to apply. Apply until you get the perfect opportunity. That's the best lesson that I learned. The best opportunity doesn't come at the best time of your time. It doesn't happen whenever you want. It happens.
Wanted.
Yeah, I was getting rejection, but at the same time apply. So it was more of okay, I'm getting drained, but at the same time, I'm pumping myself up. Okay, it is what it is. Really good because you are having rejections, you are applying for opportunities that you feel like you are a qualified candidate, at the same time, having a very not nice job, which is paying you little. At the same time, your family is looking upon you because um, they see you as a potential person to elevate them from privacy. And it was a very bad experience. But at the same time, what I learned, and I'll allow our audience to take from this conversation, is the issue of resilience and perseverance. Because it wasn't, I was a person who was not persevered. I was a person who was not born with resilience, but I had to nurture it. It's not about being born with this skill. It's not about being born with these virtues. You have to nurture them. And I nurtured them because I accepted that rejection is going to be part of this conversation. As long as I'm fighting to get my goals, some people goals will not be the same with my goals. So they will reject me. And some people goals will align with my goals and they will accept me. So I would say I've failed more than I've succeeded
Mm.
because when I started applying for scholarship, I applied for so far I've applied for more than 30 scholarship before I got my scholarship to do
Wow.
my masters. Yeah,
30 scholarship.
yeah.
Talk to me about perseverance. Wow. Why were they rejecting you? Did they give you feedback?
There's no feedback. You have to learn. Um, some they could give you feedback, but some of them they were just rejecting you with a very generic rejection letter. And what I learned was that I was not yet ready to be part of that accomplishment. That is a thing that people don't understand, that sometimes you are not ready to be part of the success that you need. And you have to
Hmm.
undergo through a process. So
The
the,
process.
the process is a must. No matter how well you feel you are equipped, the process is a must. So for
Wow.
me, I applied for the scholarship. The first scholarship, I did it on my own. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. And then I was like, there's something wrong because all those people could not be rejecting me for the same reason. So I started networking. I opened my LinkedIn. I started reaching out to people. Oh, I see you are a recipient of this scholarship. What can you tell me about it? Some could ignore me, some could just answer me with very generic information. They were generic to them, but they were very, very unique to me. They used to give me very, very good advice. So I incorporated those feedback in my application, and then I started getting interviews. I started getting interviews and getting rejected after the interview. Oh, it's still rejection, but at least
At least.
I've moved a step higher,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that used to happen a lot of time. And then during 2021, that's when everything opened for me. I applied for three scholarship only, and I got all the three scholarship. Applied for Erasmus Mundus. I got Erasmus Mundus. I applied for Shivering Scholarship. I got Shivering Scholarship. I applied for Commonwealth Scholarship. I got Commonwealth Scholarship. And
Wow.
all of the three scholarship, all of them, it was my first attempt.
Wow.
Yeah, but I declined Erasmus and Chevening because they have this policy that you have to return home for you after your scholarship. So before coming to the UK, I already had a dream. This is a
Mm.
very funny thing. I had a dream that
Mm.
I'm going to start my PhD even before starting my master's. So some people see it as a very crazy thing, but I had
I
that
mean, it's
dream.
crazy.
Yeah, I had that dream, and I had no clue what was going to happen in the UK. I had no clue if I was ready for PhD. I had no clue if anyone was going to accept me to do a PhD. Yeah.
Wow. Your journey really, really, it's remarkable. Remarkable in a sense that you have to be rejected. You faced a lot of rejection. I see that if you were probably not rejected for those 30 times, you may probably wouldn't have been able to put up that application that would give you that, just one application that would give you that approval at just one try. So, the lesson in this for me, sometimes in life, the rejections that we are having, it's just preparing us for the greater opportunity that are ahead of us. And like you said, maybe we are not even ready if we're even to be given that opportunity the time that we think we really need it or we really want it. So, that's seriously, commitment. What do you think changed? 30 applications, you kept going. What did you do different that you think, you made that whole difference when you applied in 2021?
In 2021, what I did was, I believe I picked a lot of lessons. I've been telling people a lot of lessons from the first application. Every time I was rejected, I used to tweak my application a little bit, not do the same thing. I used to make a simple, even if it's just reductions or deduct some words, or it was, let's say, 500 words, I could make 400 words or something. I used to make sure that my application is not the same. So every time I used to get those rejection, I used like, oh, okay, this is happening. That was not good. And then I'm usually telling people that YouTube is the best free university in the world.
I like that. The best free university.
Yeah, it's the best free university in the world because I used to watch a lot at 4 a.m. in the morning. I wake up, watch how to apply, how to make an SOP, how to write a CV. And some people would offer really amazing, insights. I used to incorporate them. So every time I was getting rejection, I was getting better. I was just not ready to get the perfect opportunity. And I'll give you a very interesting reason as to why I'm telling you this, because for Commonwealth Scholarship, I applied for three universities. That is University of East Anglia, University of Sussex, and University of Bristol.
Wow.
What happened is that I applied a month prior at University of East Anglia, 2 weeks prior at University of Sussex. And I felt I was not qualified enough to apply to University of Bristol. So I applied to the University of Bristol 72 hours before the deadline.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, University of East Anglia, University of Sussex rejected me. The university that I applied 72 hours before the deadline is a university that gave me. And that was the easiest application that I've ever made because I was making it from the experience that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. I was making it because I was not sure I was going to be accepted. I was making it as a form of formality because I'm just, incorporating ideas. Oh, it need to be like this, need to be like this. And packaging those ideas was a perfect application.
Wow. Really, there have to be some level of commitment, level of passion. I always tell people that, failure, what we call failure is not a failure. It's a lesson. It's a lesson. So you do something, it doesn't go the way you wanted it, it doesn't go as planned. What do you learn from it? And what lesson can you apply from the previous ones to your next opportunity, to your next try, to your next attempt. Some of us, when we try one, it doesn't go well. People easily give up, throw in the towel, forget about it. I mean, 30 times, that's enough to, say, hey, this is not
Yeah.
for me. Maybe I should just learn some profession, some vocational skills, or maybe just get some miniature job but you had your eyes on that goal and you kept driving, you kept pushing, you kept trying, and you kept tweaking. And that's the need for us to be able to adjust, always adjust, and to be able to try something different. If you're going to use the same application, if you probably use the same application, the same SOP, the same resume, the same materials, you'll probably be rejected till now because
Yeah.
you're repeating the same mistakes. So, I mean, I'm saying this, for all of us to learn that, yes, we're going to run through difficulty. We're going to run through challenges when things are not going our way. However, let's learn from it. Then let's use those lessons in our next attempt. Don't give up, because those failures it probably may even be testing, like you said. It's probably maybe testing your commitment, your passion. That do you truly, truly, truly believe in this thing that you are doing? And if you truly, truly, truly believe in this decision, this path that you are choosing to follow, then probably you want to continue to remain on that path despite the roadblocks, despite the disappointment. That's remarkable. You got into UK, you have become, a student. Talk to me about your research work. You're doing amazing in the field of, in your research work. I see your posts, presentations, speaking engagement already. Talk to us about your research, interest so we can get to know about your work.
As I said before, I'm coming from a pastoralist, agriculture-based community, and agriculture is one of the climate-sensitive industry of all industries. So that was an idea that was born from passion, was born from the kind of livelihood that I've grown to be. And at the same time, coming to the UK, I've seen they are doing tremendous work in climate change. They're talking about the impact of climate change. The impact in the UK is minimal. It's not impact per se. People in Africa are suffering from climate change. And then this is where I adopted this kind of a model whereby we need to cut these bureaucratic ways of dealing with things and have this bottom-up approach. And my idea is to use local indicators. I know you're coming from Ghana, and growing up, you used to hear your grandparent or parents saying, "Oh, these clouds, they are carrying water, they are carrying rainfall, it's going to rain." Or they just use some unique local indicator. Yeah, local signs to see like, oh, it's going to rain, it's going to have a lot of sunshine today or something. So my idea is trying to not erase that idea, because we have been using Western ways of climate adaptation, climate anticipation to deal with the climate ecosystem in Africa, which is predominantly wrong because we are missing this locally led anticipation, adaptation, response, and also recovery from climate change. So my idea is not get rid of this indigenous knowledge, rather than complement the Western knowledge or the Western ways of dealing with climate change. So I'm trying to bring the voice of the African people, the African society, the indigenous community to be part of the climate discourse. Instead of having this vertical trickle down of information, let's have a horizontal way of dealing, whereby a farmer in Africa, a farmer in Ghana, a farmer in Kenya, a farmer in Nigeria can make decisions of climate adaptation rather than being given prescribed tailored adaptation mechanism by policymakers who have never been in the location.
To
They don't
Africa.
know. They don't know the
Right.
ecosystem. Yeah.
Right. Right. Wow. That's so your work can kind of be the fusion between the Western model and the African, combining the two of them, if I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So mine is trying to integrate the two. All of the data set, all of the information, all of the knowledge, they are unique and both are correct, but there's no point of erasing one information or knowledge for the sake of the other.
Wow. How are you getting the data as far as from the, our local way of paying attention to the climate? How are you able to collect the data?
Yeah, this is now the unique part about my research. I'm not using, I'll go to Africa and my research is focusing East Africa region in Africa, Somalia, Kenya, and Ethiopia. We have a pastoralist community who have been using these sites, who have been using this adaptation mechanism for so long. And I'll go
Wow.
there next year to collect the data set. And I'm not using these respondents, these farmers or these pastoralists as respondents, which is what researchers do. I'm using them as decision makers. So my research is not about what I want, it's about what pastoralists think is right, and then try to incorporate it with the modern ways of climate change, adaptation, mitigation, anticipation, and etc.
I think that would give a massive voice to our local, shall I say, practices, observation of the climate. I think you give a tremendous voice, and it's going to be an eye opener, especially to the Western world. I mean, of course, in the African, sphere, we probably, at some level know this or familiar with this, but the Western world is going to be a whole eye opener for them. Are you using a quantitative or qualitative approach?
I'm using a mixed methodology because
Mix. Okay.
yeah,
Right.
because I need to talk to these people, so it's be more qualitative. At the same time, I need to infer policy making process. So with policy making process, I need to be very quantitative. So it's a mixed methodology in order to complement each other, policy making and the voice of this pastoralist community.
Absolutely. I think that's a rich, very rich, robust study to have both in the data and also to be able to back it up with the lived experiences. That's amazing. Really, what does the future hold for you? What does the future hold for you?
My future really, what I have is an idea that is still in its infancy stage, but I want to make Africa be part of the climate discourse because if you look right now, even in climate negotiation meeting, we have this syndrome. I like to call it
Right.
Bretton Woods institutionalism, whereby if you don't have a voice, if you're not from a Western country, you can't represent anything to do with African climate. And so my idea is to try to incorporate and try to make people within Africa be heard and try to create policy making or policy that are people, location, and Africa centric, because most of the time we tend to copy and paste the Western climate change policies, which can't work in Africa because of our resources. We have scarce resources, we have financial incapabilities. So telling Africa to reduce emission, which is not right because we emit less than 4%. Africa should design its own adaptation mechanism. Africa needs adaptation. Africa doesn't need mitigation. Africa need
Wow.
adaptation. Yeah. So my idea, I'll go back. My education is partially to South Africa. So I'll go back after my studies, and we're going to be hard because we are going to be hard because that's the real thing. They we'll have a lot of hurdles, we'll have a lot of barriers, constraints before our voices reach the top level, but they're going to be hard, and that is my idea. And I'm using my newsletter, which is attracting a lot of policies, a lot of politicians, and everyone else is subscribing to the newsletter because I speak the facts. I speak whatever is happening in Africa. Majority of the peer-reviewed journals, they undergo those peer-reviewed, and they are rejected. They're not published. But my newsletter publish whatever is happening in Africa, whatever the bad thing is happening in Africa, and I'll use the newsletter. I will use my social media handles. And the idea is to make Afrocism and climate change a voice for the people of Africa. And it will face a lot of hurdles, as I said before, a lot of constraints, a lot of barriers. But at the end
Right.
of it, we are going to make Africa be heard in the issues of climate discuss.
Absolutely. I have no doubt, yes, there's going to be some clashes and, some kind of discrediting, devaluing, the data, especially from the African world. But again, I have no doubt that, with your perseverance and your drive, you're definitely going to be able to push through for, our voice to be heard. Looking forward to the day where, Africa will also have a representative on the decision table with regards to climate change. Like, I think it's happening with the G20. They made an announcement that I think United Nations are going to be a representative to represent the continent of Africa. Would that go well for Africa? Would it go in the interest of Africa? Well, we will live to see. But again, I think it's a step in the right direction. And I would not be surprised at all to, in the future to see you on the decision table as one of the world's voice or leaders when it comes to climate change. I'm looking forward to that. Really, like you mentioned, Africa suffers from the impact of global change on the continent of Africa is way different from, all the other continent. Why? Like you mentioned, limited resources. Like in America here, there could be a tsunami, there could be a storm, destruction of cities, town, and all of that, resources, infrastructure, and all of that. But then they're able to pump money back into those towns, into those communities to rebuild those broken infrastructures. But that's not the case, with our continent. We're praying that the day will come where, would be equipped with the ability to be able to provide Africa solution, or provide solutions from Africa. Like you said, the solution has always been imported, and it's not always going to fit because it's not a one size fit all. We have our own unique set of challenges that we face. And so our solutions would have to also be unique and tailored to address the continent. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited about your work, looking forward to reading more about it, and I'm really following you. If somebody is looking forward to want to, reach out to you, how can they get your work? How would they be able to get hold of you?
Um, I use only one of the social media or tool. I'm trying to get to Twitter, but just use George Tsitati or LinkedIn or Afrocism and climate change. That's where I'll be posting even on my peer-reviewed publication, which will undergo through a rigorous peer reviewing. And yeah, so if you want to reach out to me, just go through my social media. That's LinkedIn and Twitter, George Tsitati. And if you want to follow my newsletter to keep yourself about what's happening in Africa on the issues of climate change, governance, poverty, and etc. etc. Just go and look for Afrocism and climate change. It's a unique platform that you need to be there. Yeah.
Guys, let me tell you, George is a respected name when it comes to climate change. He is very well respected. Congratulations, by the way. I saw you post about 40,000 followership, on LinkedIn. And that should tell you that George, his voice is respected in the climate change space when it comes to geospatial issues that concerns the continent of Africa. Again, I would like to say that if you want to be on the show to also share your story, to share your work, so the diasporans will be able to know what you're doing, or if you have a unique story that you'll be wanting to share to encourage someone or to be able to provide education for someone, reach out by texting to this WhatsApp number, 737-444-8091, 737-444-8091. Of course, the U.S. number, so the area code is +1. It's WhatsApp text only. Don't call because it's not going to be answered, and we will work out for you to be on the show. Well, George, I have appreciated your time and in the conversation, our discussion today. Looking forward to great successes ahead of you. You really have a bright future, and and even with your line of work, I see a very bright path for you globally. And I wish you all the best. Thank you once again for being on the podcast.
Thank you, and I would like to thank your audience who've been watching, and it has been amazing to have me today to share whatever has been part of my journey, and I leave people with one thing that has been part of me, and you will fail, you'll be rejected, you'll be laughed, they'll see you, they will mock you, they will, they will not believe in you. But what keeps you away from the crowd is the resilience, nothing more. Is the resilience and your power will to get whatever you want. And your goal is your goal whenever it's your goal. Whenever you listen to someone else's opinion, it's no longer your goal. So as long as you feel like it's your goal and any other person's opinion is not involved in, you're going to win. And we're going to be watching this podcast. I'm wishing you all the best. Let's connect. And I know majority of people watching this are from Africa. Let's stand us together as Africans, because together, unity, we are really okay. There's a very profound quote from Congo. It says, a single bead does not jingle. So it doesn't jingle at all because it's a single bead. So unity is, we have a lot of beads, it's jingle. So let's stick together and let's be together. And thank you for having me tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this proverb: a single bead does not jingle. I'm keeping this very well. I always ask this question to all my guests: what does happiness mean to you?
What happiness means to me is, I think happiness to me is who I am as a person. I don't compare myself with anyone else. I don't, a lot of people will be doing better than me. A lot of people will be doing less than me. So happiness means to me is just being George Tsitati, not comparing myself with whoever is doing better than me. Whoever is doing lesser than me. I am George Tsitati because I'm George Tsitati, and I'm here for a reason. And as long as my mission is, as long as I leave a blueprint before I permanently leave this place. That is what keeps me happy, and that is so be you, be different. Don't compare yourself with society. Society hates you when you're different, and they want you to conform to be similar, like to be like everyone else. So be different. Don't compare yourself, and just be you. And that's happiness for me. Yeah.
Mm. Just be you. George, are you married? Are you in a relationship? What's the status?
Uh, I thought we were going to talk about climate change. It's a very unique question. Anyway,
What is we're testing the climate in the other
yeah.
world, in the other side.
No, I'm not married. I'm not seeing anyone. I'm still focusing on getting my things together. And yeah, right now it's down George Tsitati, climate change and his goals. No, not seeing anyone.
Oh, so when you're
Yeah.
done with the work, then then now
No,
you will look you climate change
no,
yourself.
there's probably a part of the question which is the part of the answer which is not was not part of this part of the conversation which was not subsumed as part of my answer. If I see someone really good whereby we have the same goals, we think about the same, we have the same perspective, we have unique ideas and virtues. And yeah, I'm ready. I'm not ready. I'm ready to mingle, but I'm not ready to mingle with anyone. I am looking for specifics, virtues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
George said he's ready to mingle, but not mingle with anyone. So let's clarify that. Well, over
Yeah.
to you guys. Over to you, George. Once again, thank you. We'll keep in touch. Really, we'll keep in touch. Everybody, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion. I hope you've learned something. The power of perseverance, the importance of perseverance to achieving your goal this year. So I just said, don't give up on yourself. Keep trying, refine yourself. Don't try to beat somebody. Don't try to be a people pleaser to fit in with everybody else. Be unique, and that's what makes you different, and that's what will make you stand out from the lot. Well, this is all we have today. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like the video, share with your friends and network, and even comment. Okay, comment if what you think about our discussion today. Looking forward to it. Well, have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye.